A young couple meet and marry, but an affair rips their family apart and makes bad blood between former friends. The new couple has a lot of problems and a collection of guns at their disposal. Simmering hatred erupts into violence. Authorities are twisted and turned in a labyrinth of deception as they dig deeper and deeper to discover who pulls the trigger on Helium Road. Amarillo is the Spanish word for yellow, and the name of the 14th most populous city in the state of Texas. Settled in 1887, the name probably sprang from the color of Amarillo's subsoil. Houses were once painted yellow to honor the name. Today, Amarillo is the home of the only nuclear weapons assembly and disassembly facility in the country, which gave rise to its nickname, Bomb City. The state of Texas is considered to have some of the most relaxed gun laws in the United States.
Three WT students were sharing a house out in rural Randall County, west of Amarillo. They were on their way to their house when they drove down Helium Road and saw this vehicle on the side of the road and what looked like maybe a body, and they were afraid to approach the vehicle, but they called 911 and the sheriff's department was dispatched fairly quickly. They had identified the victim as Robin Spielbauer.
Robin is a young woman with a domestic bent, inspired by her parents' happy marriage and thriving careers in the United States military. She wants the same kind of life and to be a mother, but Robin is conflicted. While she aspires to a clean-cut, nice man like her dad, she's also attracted to bad boys.
Robin was a military brat who moved with her family from North Dakota to Amarillo, Texas in 1995. Robin began working at a local cafe in Amarillo, and she soon met Jeremy David Spielbauer in 2003.
Known as JD, he tells her about his service in the Marine Corps, with combat time in Iraq and Afghanistan. The pair becomes inseparable.
Robin and JD's relationship progressed very quickly. Robin's parents, the Bledsoes, were surprised at how quickly the relationship progressed. However, they trusted that their daughter was making good decisions, and ultimately they just wanted Robin to be happy, and it seemed as if she was happy with JD.
They met in 2003 and married in 2005. After she and JD married, they had 2 children.
But parenting comes with new stresses, and cracks begin to show in their relationship. The couple decides to attend church, hoping it will strengthen the foundation of their marriage. It's at the church that the Spielbauers meet a young criminal justice student.
JD and Robin, from time to time, attended church at a place called Cowboy Church. It's up south of Amarillo, and Katie Phipps was also attending church there. And for a while, Katie and Robin actually struck up a friendship.
Robin was friends with Katie and trusted Katie in her relationship with JD. However, JD was telling Katie that his relationship or marriage with Robin was on the rocks and that they were headed for divorce. Robin and JD started going multiple times a week. Some of their friends questioned what their newfound interest in the church was, and some of them believed that it wasn't the religion that was drawing them to the church.
Katie babysits for them occasionally, and sometimes Katie's daughter sleeps over at their place.
Katie became very close with Robin and JD, and they welcomed her into the family. Robin didn't notice that the relationship between JD and Katie was growing until it was too late.
The two lovers proclaim their feelings. Robin files for divorce, and once it's finalized in 2013, JD marries Katie.
JD and Katie had a lot of things in common, including their love of firearms. Between them, they had quite a collection of guns. There was stress in their marriage because Robin was still involved in their relationship due to the fact that JD and Robin had children together. Katie didn't like that and was jealous of the fact that Robin was still involved in their lives.
Robin moves back into her parents' home with their children in 2013, and she struggles to make ends meet. JD and Robin fight incessantly over visitation rights and child support. There's an incident where JD needs to borrow part of a $400 a month child support payment to Robin to pay for his household with Katie.
Robin is mad and depressed about JD and Katie's new marriage. To make matters worse, the newlyweds moved in down the street from Robin's parents, so she frequently had to see them while she was at her parents' house.
There was a lot of animosity between Katie and Robin, and everyone knew it. It was no secret. Everyone knew it.
With tensions high between Robin, Katie, and JD, it seems like just a matter of time before they boil over. After a series of texts, Robin tucks her two children into bed and tells her mother she'll be back later. Katie picks up her son Diego and takes him to spend the evening with her best friend. JD is in the company of someone as well.
He calls his Uncle Ty, and Ty comes over to the house, and they drink a couple of beers and talk.
Robin leaves her family and goes out into the night to an undisclosed location. Little does she know, this will be the last drive she ever takes. Amarillo is the 14th most populous city in the state of Texas. It is in Amarillo that JD and Robin Spielbauer marry and have children. But JD's affair with a mutual friend turns into a messy divorce and remarriage. The three former friends struggle to be civil. On Helium Road, April 8th, 2014, a driver notices something bizarre. What appears to be a bloodied body is spotted beside an SUV. Emergency vehicles are summoned to the scene. The morning after Robin goes out, Robin's mother wakes up to see Robin never returned home to sleep. Initially, she isn't concerned, as Robin occasionally spends the night with friends. But by later in the morning, Robin's parents call and text some of Robin's friends, and hunt for her presence on social media. Robin's dad calls police and hospitals in the area. The Amarillo Police Department shows up to the house around 11 a.m. to file a missing persons report.
Under Texas law, there's no waiting period to report a missing person if the reporting person thinks that the missing person's life may be in danger.
Later that afternoon, a friend of Robin's alerts the family of a news article that shows a black SUV surrounded by first responder vehicles. It looks just like Robin's vehicle, and a parent's worst nightmare is about to be confirmed. A female victim is found beside the vehicle west of Amarillo, near the intersection of Helium Road and West County Road 34. She's been the victim of foul play. District Attorney James Farron is contacted.
It was standard practice for the Sheriff's Department to contact me if a homicide had occurred, and once Robin's body was discovered at 34th and Helium, they contacted me, and I was present and offering advice and suggestions throughout their investigation.
Authorities note strange pink color smears on Robin's car window.
They saw damage to the vehicle, contact marks. They saw scratches, they saw paint, transfer of paint.
Something hard, probably metallic, had been used to strike that window several times and cause chip marks, and there was a pink smear on the window.
Hard objects come in contact, especially in a scraping motion or hitting motion, you're going to have a transfer of paint if there's paint on that particular object.
No wallet or phone is found on the victim, who shows the signs of having engaged in a struggle.
It was obvious that she had suffered several serious blows to her head and neck and face area.
When you see that, you look, well, this person looked like they were beat up. She looks like she was beat up.
She had injuries that were consistent with several blows to her head and face. They believe she had died as a result of blunt force trauma.
This appears to be a clear-cut case of a robbery gone wrong.
Robin's wallet was missing and her cell phone was missing when the investigation began. Whoever killed Robin took her wallet and her phone. We didn't know whether was this a robbery, was this just a random event out on Helium Road. By mid-afternoon, the Sheriff's Department had contacted her parents, and her parents had confirmed that they believed that was Robin.
Police gather information from people who know Robin.
When a spouse or ex-spouse dies, one of the first people investigators look at is the spouse or ex-spouse, but other than just a general rule, they didn't have anything at that point to point to JD or Katie or anybody else. Katie indicated she didn't know anything other than what she'd heard from other people who'd called her. And JD told the same story, that he just didn't have any information that would be of help to them. He really didn't know anything about it.
In the days to follow, the Spielbauers make formal statements. JD tells investigators that after visiting with his uncle, he falls asleep on the couch.
Maybe 9:40-ish, 9:50. Because I started sending text messages and calling. Because I sent one to my wife. She said, well, we're good. Everything's okay. I was like, okay.
About 10:15, he calls Uncle Ty and wants him to come back over to the house. JD tells Uncle Ty in the garage that night, you know, I've got a bad feeling about Robin.
I just uneasy feeling just seemed to be vibes cool.
JD then proceeds to send Robin a text at 10:18 asking if everyone is okay.
I didn't get a text or anything from her. I was like, okay. Tried calling her. Got her voicemail. Like, alright. Maybe she's busy sleeping. I don't know.
Police are satisfied at first.
Robin's cell phone was missing from the scene. However, the detectives were able to recover information from her service provider.
And in those text messages, it was obvious there was communication between JD and Robin, and that Robin believed they were going to meet that evening of the 7th. And so, for obvious reasons, they bring JD back into the sheriff's office and interview him and confront him with this text message information.
Police confront JD with the text messages from the missing cell phone that no one ever expected to see. Newlyweds Katie and JD have ever-escalating tension with JD's ex-wife. Robin is found murdered in an apparent robbery gone wrong. Data recovered from Robin's cell service provider shows that she had a meeting planned with JD the night of her murder, contrary to what he tells police.
Did you have any plans to meet Robin that evening?
No plans.
How do you explain these text messages? Let me read these to you in case your memory's failing you.
Police ask JD to explain the recovered text messages.
He concedes that he wasn't completely honest with them during the first conversation. That it's true, he was supposed to meet Robin that night, but the meeting was supposed to take place at his house, which is just 2 houses down from where Robin was living with her parents. He said that they were going to meet and talk about the upcoming school year and the children and visitation and the general agenda for the children, and that she stood him up. She never showed up.
You're the last person on this earth to have contact with her, and that contact was arranging a meeting that she made.
Yes, sir. And that makes me number one suspect no matter what. They
me
ain't
wondering what
wondering
happened.
nothing. Leaves me wondering too, sir.
JD claims he has good reason to keep meetings with his ex-wife secret. Robin and his wife Katie notoriously hate each other since the divorce and marriage.
His further explanation was that bad blood had developed between Katie and Robin for obvious reasons. And so this meeting, according to JD, was going to be at his house because Katie was going to be gone for the evening visiting a friend, and so it would be okay for Robin to come over. There wouldn't be a confrontation between Katie and Robin because Katie wasn't going to be home that evening.
The reason for the animosity is interesting to police.
It's understandable that Robin would feel hostility toward Katie. Katie's hostility toward Robin was actually caused by the same suspicion that Robin had. Katie had concluded that JD was now having an affair with Robin. He was married to Robin, had an affair with Katie. Now he's married to Katie, and Katie believes he's having an affair with Robin. And she is just hammering JD every day, not only in person, but later when we acquired her phone records, her text messages for 2 or 3 weeks prior to the murder were just endless attacks, diatribes against JD. I know you're having an affair with Robin. I know you're cheating.
In fact, in the 4 days leading up to the murder, Katie sends JD no less than 336 angry text messages. Katie sends an ominous message. "I'll take care of this myself." And JD appears to hint that he knows something about the murder.
Let me run a scenario by you. Katie's not stupid. She's pretty sharp. She finds out y'all are having a meeting that night. That's why she's pissed. That's why she's not at the house. You set the meeting up. Something really bad happened.
So you're basically either saying I did something personally or physically to my wife, or I know of something.
You know something. My very soul, I believe you know what's going on here. The best I can do, giving you the benefit of every doubt I can possibly give you, is that you have some real deep freaking suspicions that you don't want to discuss with me.
Sir, I do have a lot of suspicions.
He did know something about the night of the 7th and something about Robin and that they were supposed to meet. But his position was, whether he lied or whether he forgot, that the meeting never occurred, that she didn't show up.
But she did show up dead on Helium Road. Investigators believe that Robin dies as a result of blunt force trauma.
During the autopsy, they find a projectile inside her skull. They x-ray the body, of course. Ballistics comes up beautiful on an x-ray, and they see a projectile. They open the skull up, they retrieve the projectile, a small caliber at the time.
The bullet removed from Robin's skull is examined.
We would get the projectile, we would weigh it. I could hold it in my hand and tell you that it's a .22 caliber. I would then reaffirm what from experience, I would throw it on the scale, check the weight. It could be a .22 caliber pistol, or it could be a .22 caliber or rifle. You know, there's two types of firearms, several types of firearms that fire that particular caliber.
The slug recovered from Robin's brain is too deformed to perform thorough ballistic testing upon it.
Detectives went back to the scene where the body and vehicle were located and searched for a casing.
Took a large area around where the vehicle and body were, and they marked it off in grids with strings and stakes. They sifted through every square inch of that soil, and they recovered 2 broken pieces off of what looked like off of a firearm. And they also recovered a .22 caliber shell casing.
Authorities now hunt for the murder weapon.
They start looking on social media, they start looking, conducting search warrants, they start confiscating different firearms or people involved, and they seem to see this one particular gun that grabs their eye.
They find photos on social media of Katie shooting a pink gun, but then Katie removes them.
Now the sheriff's department and I realize that it is likely that if we get a search warrant for JD and Katie's house, the gun that killed Robin might be there.
When they went to the house, they were armed with information. They knew what they were looking for.
Authorities entered the Spielbauer house.
The sheriff's department during the search recovered probably 15 or 20 guns, several rifles, shotguns, but several pistols. Next to Katie's side of the bed in a nightstand, they recovered a 9mm, as I recall.
And they find a .22 caliber. You know, at the time it's a .22 caliber. We're looking for a .22 caliber. When they recovered it, they says, wait a minute, there's pink on that gun, and we have pink on the vehicle.
The pink gun is examined by a forensic officer.
Also, the gun had damage to it. It's a polymer gun. The top of it's aluminum alloy. You know, there was pieces chipped off of it.
The pink paint samples from the crime scene match Katie's pink gun.
Eventually, the investigation determined that they were likely caused by that gun striking against the window while the window was rolled up. Obviously, this is intriguing, and obviously to the investigators and to me, this seemed like it would be important. If Robin were cowering inside the vehicle with the window up, and her assailant is beating on the window with that gun trying to get her to open the window, and left that pink polymer smear on the window, now we know a lot more about what was happening out at Helium Road than we did before.
Suspect weapons will be test fired to get reference casings and projectiles to compare to the evidence from the scene. We do these comparisons using a comparison microscope, which is basically two microscopes joined by an optical bridge. So we can look at the test fires and compare them to the evidence from the scene.
In a semi-automatic, the casing can be just as important in identifying the firearm. When that casing is extracted from the semi-automatic, it leaves extraction marks on the casing that are unique to that gun. Fairly quickly, ballistics was able to match the shell casing recovered out at the scene to that .22. And the gun belonged to Katie, and nobody else ever used this gun, only Katie. There were pictures of her all over Facebook firing the gun. There were pictures of her teaching her children how to target practice using that gun. Everybody knew that was her gun.
With the clear match to her gun, Katie's brought in for questioning.
You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I liked her, because I didn't. But my father died when I was 2. I buried my mother when I was 18 years old. I know what it feels like to grow up without a parent. I would never do that to anybody. I'm not a murderer. I may be a lot of things, but I'm not a murderer.
Her text messages, however, seem to tell another story.
On the 7th, the last communication she had with JD was a text message in which, again, about 3 o'clock, she accuses JD again of having an affair with Robin. He denies it again, and she says, "I'll take care of this myself. I'll put an end to it." 7, 8 hours later, Robin's dead with a bullet in her brain, and so it was easy to think, well, I guess she took care of it.
JD tells investigators his version of events.
Got in the back seat with her and we was talking about the girls, the STARS test coming up.
JD put Katie at the scene of the murder. Eventually, he admits he went out to Helium Road and 34th to meet Robin. He claims that Katie then showed up and caught them there together.
A few moments later, hear tapping on the glass. End up opening the door and I see Katie there, which took me by surprise.
And that's the last time JD says he sees Robin alive. Robin Spielbauer is murdered, and her ex-husband JD lies to police about their meeting on the night of her murder.
So JD changes his story again and tells police that he did go to Helium Road on the night of Robin's murder. However, he was just talking to Robin about the kids. He states that Robin was still alive when he left the scene.
But Katie's furious texts seem to tell a tale of murder. In JD's telling of events, he leaves his uncle and goes to Helium Road to speak with Robin. But there's more. JD says Katie shows up unexpectedly.
They grin back at each other. I try to stop the big grin. I just put my foot down and say that this isn't what it looks like. We're talking about the girls. That's it. She says something along the lines of, yeah, I don't give a I'll turn to Katie. I'll tell her just give me a car that's going on. Put the foot down. This is done. I'll shut her door. And I'll go walking back to my truck.
He says, well, by the way, those chip marks on the window, that didn't happen while I was there. That had to have happened after I left because there weren't any chip marks on the window when I left.
Katie attests she and her son Diego spend the evening with friends and leave about 10:13. However, Katie's best friend can't confirm that. She believes Katie left at 9:50, which would give Katie time to kill Robin.
JD tells the police that he originally lied because he thinks that Katie may have killed Robin and he wanted to protect her.
Forgive me for it. Ended up misleading anybody. I was hoping that this wasn't true. Seriously. I still love Katie with everything I got.
Katie, however, is starting to have suspicions of her own.
I don't know. I'm starting to think maybe JD did.
Katie demands a polygraph test to prove her innocence. With her pink gun established as the murder weapon and her husband's eyewitness testimony against her, this is a last-ditch attempt by Katie.
Polygraphs are not admissible in most criminal courts. However, police often use them as investigative aids to help include or exclude suspects.
Katie fails not one, but 2 polygraph tests. The case against her stacks higher and higher. Authorities trace Katie's cell phone and discover the night of the murder, it registers a ping off a cell phone tower.
The digital information we get from a ping tells us whether you're checking your voicemail or whether you're having a conversation or what it is you're doing on the phone. It tells us what time it took place. And it tells us you're within the range of the cell tower.
The information places Katie in a location and timeline that indicates she could have been leaving the scene of the murder.
And so when we added all that up and the sheriff's department brought me all of that information, I filed a murder charge against Katie Spielbauer.
Katie steadfastly maintains her innocence.
I did not do this. That's not true. I don't know.
She was arrested and charged with the murder of Robin Spielbauer. After Katie had been sitting in jail for about a year, waiting trial, charged with the murder of Robin, one of the secretaries in my office mentioned that she had seen a fascinating show on television the night before, and it had to do with Wi-Fi tracking of cell phones. And we asked her, I said, "Now you mean cell towers?" And she said, "No, this is different. This Wi-Fi tracking can give you the location of a cell phone down to about 30 meters. Well, this was total news to me.
Authorities reinterpret the Wi-Fi data from the night of the murder and come to a shocking conclusion.
When I got all of this information, and I'd talked to a dozen different experts, I realized I'd locked up the wrong person. Sorry.
July 20th, 2015, I got a call from my attorney, and he said, "Katie, Mr. Farron wants to speak with you tomorrow, and when he gets there, I need you to just sit down and be quiet." So then Mr. Farron came down to the jail, and then he turned to me and he said, "I got the phone records back." I said, it's about time. He said, you were never on Helium Road. I said, I've been telling you that for 15 and a half months. He said, today I'm going to dismiss your case. And I fell out of the chair and I hit my knees and I started thanking God and praying and crying.
It was gut-wrenching. I wanted to personally apologize to her and tell her we were going to do everything we could to make it right.
With Katie innocent, suspicion immediately falls upon JD.
I was so angry, but at some point I had to make the decision. If he was able to kill Miss Spielbauer, number one, and he was able to frame Miss Spielbauer, number two, what's he gonna do to Miss Spielbauer, number three? It took some time to heal and get over the anger, but eventually I told Farron, whatever you need, I will help you.
Authorities now listen to what Katie has to say about JD. The day after Robin's murder, Katie confronts JD.
And I said, you know, what did you do? What did you do? And he looked at me and he said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, yes, you do. You know exactly what I'm talking about. What did you do? And it went from JD to somebody I've never seen before. And he grabbed me by the throat and he pushed me up against the wall and he got right in my face and he said, I handled the problem. And I just turned ice cold. And his eyes went from this demonic darkness back to JD, and you could see it in his eyes. He thought, oh my gosh, why did I say that? Now she knows. Now she knows. And I just looked at him. What do you mean you handle the problem?
JD's a clever man. He's a very clever individual. I've tried 6 capital murder trials, but this is the most amazing case of my career.
JD Spielbauer implicates his wife, Katie Spielbauer, as the killer of his ex-wife, Robin. Katie sits in jail awaiting trial for 467 days. But when the DA's secretary learns about new technology for tracing cell phone signals, Katie is cleared of suspicion and set free. Authorities look for clues with fresh eyes and a new suspect.
As Sherlock Holmes says, when you've eliminated every other possibility, whatever's left has to be the truth.
And finally I said to them, you're telling me that not one single business in that area has cameras? And that's when they went and found the video footage from the ATM where they saw Robin's car, and then they saw JD's truck, and then they saw JD's truck come back.
Surveillance video from a bank shows Robin Spielbauer driving past an Amarillo National Bank branch at 9:21 p.m. en route to the scene of the murder. It also shows JD Spielbauer driving past at 9:27 p.m. and driving back the other way at 9:50 p.m. As investigators search for more evidence against JD, one of JD's ex-girlfriends has more to say than she initially let on.
We actually interviewed her 3 times because our original source kept saying she's not telling you everything she knows, she's just afraid of JD. We finally brought her back the third time and under threat of a grand jury subpoena, and she said, "All right, I'll tell you, but you've got to protect me from JD."
To the astonishment of authorities, the woman speaks with JD just days before Robin's murder.
They sit out on the front porch of her grandmother's house where she lived, and JD tells her about his problems with Robin and Katie, and how Robin is just driving him nuts about child support and visitation, and they're having all kinds of problems, and he would just be better off if she were out of their lives. In fact, the best thing that could happen would be for her to have a bullet in her brain. And 5 days later, she had a bullet in her brain.
Not only is the testimony incriminating, it also points to a pattern of behavior in JD's relationships.
I was his property. He told me where I could go, what I could wear. If he didn't want me to leave the house, he would take fuses out of my car.
Eventually, in the course of the investigation of the murder of Robin Spielbauer, J.D. Spielbauer gave 4 different versions of what happened that night.
JD has left a trail of clues that let investigators know he's anything but innocent. Finally, authorities are able to put the pieces together.
In his 4th version, his lie, he says, "Well, by the way, those chip marks on the window, that didn't happen while I was there. That had to have happened after I left, because there weren't any chip marks on the window when I left."
He claimed that he saw the marks while the vehicle was parked at the sheriff's office for processing.
So I contacted the sheriff's department, and they started laughing. And I said, "What is so funny?" And they said, "We took that window out of the vehicle and sent it to the lab in Lubbock. It's been in the lab in Lubbock 120 miles away since the day after the investigation started. So unless he can see from here to Lubbock, he didn't see any chip marks on the window at the sheriff's department."
As police revisit the evidence they had collected from the initial investigation, more and more clues fall into place.
When they executed the search warrant on the house, JD's standing there next to me and he says, "You know they're gonna take all of our guns, right?" He was so nervous about that.
Now, at the time, nobody thought that was important. But looking back later, how did JD know they were going to look for guns? Everybody thought Robin died from blunt force trauma. Why would they be looking for guns? The only person who knew a gun would be important was the person that killed her.
We had approximately 8 firearms in the house. The only gun that was registered to me, the only one that I ever actually purchased, was a pink .22. Every time we would take it to the shooting range, it would jam.
From the very beginning, I should have been puzzled as to why would Katie take a gun that malfunctions all the time out to kill Robin when she had a wonderful 9mm that works perfectly well, and it's a larger caliber, much more effective if you want to kill somebody. If it's Katie that killed Robin, it doesn't make much sense. But if it's JD, it makes all the sense in the world. He knows that everybody knows the .22 is Katie's gun.
Finally, another piece of evidence falls into place.
We learned during the investigation that Robin carried in her wallet her own Social Security card and the Social Security card of her 2 children. Eventually, we knew those were the only Social Security cards ever issued for those 2 children. During the search of JD's truck, the deputy found inside his console 2 Social Security cards, the Social Security cards of JD and Robin's 2 children. If Robin always carried those Social Security cards in her wallet, how did they end up in JD's truck?
How indeed? Unless JD is with Robin the night of her murder. For the murder of his ex-wife, Robin Spielbauer, Jeremy Spielbauer is sentenced to life in prison with parole eligibility in 2046.
We want to get the bad guys and protect the good guys. It is our worst nightmare that we lock up the wrong person. But Katie spent 467 days locked in a cell because I ignored evidence that was available. I just didn't look at it close enough. I didn't look at it with an open mind.
But in the end, the evidence saves Katie. She goes on to earn a degree in legal studies.
When I was released from jail, I immediately started school. I'm the first person in my family to graduate college. I got a bachelor's degree in legal studies, and I work as a defense paralegal for a wonderful attorney here in town.
Now divorced from J.D. Spielbauer, she vows to work to help those who are wrongly accused.
I am also the director of strategy for a nonprofit called Ignite You First. Our goal is to break generational cycles of trauma and to build hope in people who have been through anything that could be considered a traumatic event.
Katie's a good person at heart. I'll never pass up an opportunity to tell the world that I made a mistake and she's innocent. She had nothing to do with the death of Robin Spielbauer.